Okay, in this video I wanted to talk about how to set up the V-Swimming add-on with multiplayer support. So let's go ahead and import that package. Okay, let's go ahead and open that example scene. So let's go into here, and here we are in the scene. If we click play, the camera should snap to our player, and we should be able to swim around. There it is, just fine. Okay, so let's actually talk about how we can convert this to be multiplayer. So let's go ahead and run through some basic setups. I'm going to go here to the main menu, and first of all, we're going to check file status. Looks like I've already got the Invector files converted, and I need to enable support for swimming, and every time you enable support, you need to click out of Unity and back in, and see this little icon here spinning. Wait for that to complete. That is compiling the scripts. Okay, it's great. We see a lot of successes here. You can go see exactly what is needed to enable all that. I'm not going to run through everything. I'm just going to go through a basic converting player setup here. So I'm going to add a core object, network manager, add a chat box, go to my spawn point, reset my spawn point to something that isn't going to make me fall out of the map. Okay, so I got my spawn point set, and then I am going to just convert this player. I don't have chat set up, so I'm going to not say that. I'm going to say convert now. I've already done this once, so I'm going to go ahead and overwrite him. And great, he was converted. We see the converted format here, so I'm going to disable him. And let's look at this guy. And if I click play now, let's go ahead and see what happens. You'll see that there are a few issues. So let's click play. So first of all, we see that the camera here isn't really matched up to the character. And that's because this character right here, it's not being spawned in dynamically. This character must be spawned in dynamically in order to work with multiplayer. And you'll notice if I disable him, this game controller is going to spawn a character. So let's go ahead and click play. We see that it's spawned in a character, but this is not the multiplayer character. So that's a problem. So what we need to do is we need to disable this game controller. Okay, we're going to just completely disable that. We don't need it. Now, I'm going to just add a testing component here. I'm going to click autoconnect to room, go to spawning settings, and make sure auto spawn player is enabled. So now every time when I click play, it's going to auto connect to the Photon master servers, generate the room called my testing room, and it will join that room. And because I joined that room and I have auto spawn player connected, as soon as I join that room, it's going to automatically spawn my player, which will automatically find this V third person camera, and the camera will then snap to my player. So let's try that. Okay, so there he is. So now this is a multiplayer version. You can tell because of the icon here at the lower side. So let's go ahead and try him out. We see that he works just fine, just like the last one. So let's go ahead and test him out in multiplayer settings. And I'm just going to check a few things here. Oh, wait, you know what it is? This is why. So, Invector free climb. This was from my testing earlier today. Let's make sure we add the correct scene there. Now let's try it again. There we go. That's what I like to see. Okay, so with him in there, let's go ahead and clear this out because that was all free climb related stuff. And let's get him going here. So we should be able to see water effects fine. You know, we can see the swimming effects. But when he comes up, you'll notice that he's not Oh, he actually is dripping with water. Okay, well, I guess that's fine by default, but if we come over to here, we should see bubbles on that screen. In fact, let's get him under the water. We see that he has bubbles. Let's come over to here. And we can go under the water here. We notice that he doesn't have bubbles on our screen. So the bubbles aren't getting sent across the network. And this is because of a setting that is very important to realize in the swimming. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. So let's disconnect him and let's stop that. So let's come up to our character and let's open up multiplayer swimming. So inside multiplayer swimming, we'll see that there's a couple of missing components, and that's by default here. I mean, they were already missing in the character itself. So we can ignore that. In fact, we can even remove those if we want. So if we see there's a couple of settings here. So we see on above water, we want to disable the bubbles. And when we go under the water, we want to enable the bubbles. So why is that not working? Well, if we come over to here, we see the networked versions. So anything that you want to have basically every single network player do, including yourself, you're going to call that here. In fact, this actually only is called for other network players, not yourself. So this up here, all this information is called for yourself, and anything entitled network is going to be called for the networked versions. So we'll see that the networked versions are saying, hey, when you go above water or go underwater, you're not doing anything. So why don't I just say, hey, just copy this? Well, because we don't want to play the audio effects when a networked player goes in there. We only want to play the audio effects when we, as the owner player, go in there. So the only thing that we want to do is the bubbles. So let's come down here and let's get these bubbles all set up. So if we come over to here, game object, and set active, game object, set active. So when we're under the water, we want the bubbles to be active, and when we're above the water, we don't want to have the bubbles active. So with that, let's save that back to the prefab, because if remember, these are spawned dynamically, so if it's not saved in the prefab, it's just not going to work. So with that done, now if we build and run again, we should see the bubbles across the network. Okay, so we got our players. Let's get this guy under the water. And let's come over to here to this scene, and let's get them under the water. And we can see already that the bubbles are now playing across the network. So that's one thing you can kind of separate between the players, is make sure those are set up the way that you want. Hopefully this helps. Thanks. Bye.